Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.
Okay, people, let's get real. When we first become part of a couple, we kind of expect to be joined at the hip. Where you go, I will go. Where you reside, I will reside. Your people will become my people, and your God will become my God. See, Barbara, that's from the book of Ruth. I can quote scriptures too. But seriously, people expect to be joined at the hip, figuratively and sometimes almost literally, when you go to different family gatherings. But let's get real. Eventually, one of you gets tired or reluctant to go and see the in laws. And I wanted to talk about this, or we wanted to talk about this right now because we're going to the holiday season. And if you read any advice columns, and I read almost all of them, people start stressing about your people, your God, my God, where you going, where am I going? And it gets to be a real conflict, but not just during the holiday season. Sometimes all year round, your spouse or partner does not necessarily want to go and see your family. And so we want to talk about that a little bit because at some point or another, we've all had those reluctant partners who don't want to travel with us. And I say, you know what? It doesn't have to be a fight. Sometimes it's better if you just leave your spouses at home. Sisters, what do you think?
ah, you know what I think? I think that as independent, strong women, we need to be able to make that decision without there being a lot of conflict. Now, I will say this. When I was single, I did a lot of fun things by myself. Now, at first, I was uncomfortable going to a restaurant by myself, so I would bring a book.
Yep.
And that became my stay by, and if the waiter came by and said, "Oh, is it for two?" And I would say, "No, it's just me." And then they would take the other placemat away and I would feel kind of awkward. But when I was first married, I think we did do everything together. I was the social person, so I made all the plans for a lot of the things that we did. Every once in a while, my husband would shock me by planning something for the two of us after I had reminded him 6 or 7 times. And so I was really kind of reluctant to start out doing things by myself, but we have been married 41 years. And sometimes there are movies my husband isn't interested in seeing. There are documentaries that I am not interested in seeing. Uh, if I don't find a friend to go with me, I will go by myself. And I'm comfortable with that. I think it has to do with me having been married a long time, having been independent a long time, having been able to free myself of certain constraints where you feel like you always have to have somebody with you to enjoy yourself. That's not true. But what if you are the kind of person that does not want to always go and see your relatives? I think that's fine too. And we should not hold it against our spouse if sometimes they don't want to go, they want to stay home. I have actually seen this with some of my own other relatives that I have. They start out coming to things together, and then the husband decides he does not want to be there. Sometimes there are adult children who don't want to be there. And I think that that's fine for them to be able to make that decision. We should not be offended. But if you are, and you don't know how to bring up this thing that might be rubbing you the wrong way, I got a book.
Of course you do.
And so this is they have a chapter on dealing with that kind of thing. If you have a spouse that doesn't want to go with you to stuff, but even though you're aggravated, you don't know how to bring it up to them that you're aggravated. So, Naima, what are your thoughts about unwilling spouses
and partners?
And partners.
Yeah, you know, I went through that my whole marriage, so I can definitely speak to that. Part of the joy, like you say, of being married is that you want to have your spouse with you at family gatherings, and you want your spouse to come with you when you go to different things. You know, you want the companionship. That's what it's supposed to be about, the companionship. I mean, you know, if you're not with me, why are you with me? So, so I think these are things that you look at even when you consider someone, even when you consider someone as a spouse. Now, when I was considering anyone as my spouse, I had 3 tests. I don't know if I ever told you all this. I had 3 tests that they had to pass.
They had to be as good looking as daddy.
Well, the first thing is, you know, daddy would always make sure that if my car broke down, you know, he would come and get me. I mean, he wouldn't say, oh, well, you know, call a tow truck. He would come and get me, you know, bring whatever alley mechanic he had, you know, fix it or whatever. But he would come and get me when my car broke down. So that's test number 1. When my car breaks down, you come and get me.
Not if, also, it's when.
It's when, because I'm not driving some kind of raggedy car. When it breaks down, you come and get me. Now, the second thing, of course, you need to be supportive of my business enterprise. You know that's very much a part of who I am. So, you know, you need to be encouraging and not be upset. Oh, why are you working again? Why are you doing that? You know, you need to know that that's a part of my personality. That's my identity. You need to be supportive of that and encouraging of it when I'm working. The third thing is, I'm going to take you to my sister Barbara's house. Now, that's part of being able to see if you can fit into our family. Now, we know our sister Barbara, you know, for a while had a very unconditional kind of lifestyle. It was a communal situation. But the test is they have to be able to see the intention behind that. They needed to be able to understand this was a community of people who were really trying to live the spiritual life in the way of the disciples, sharing everything and raising their children as a community, and being colorblind, you know, interracial and multiracial and all of that. You had to see it and appreciate what it was.
The intention.
The intention.
Right.
Appreciate the intention behind it. And that would let me know if they understood on a level of values what's important in terms of, you know, raising a family and providing a good environment for children and being accepting of all people, not being racially prejudiced, because this is our family. So that was the third test. And everybody that I was seeing that I was in any way semi-considering or seriously considering as a mate, they had to pass those 3 tests. And
tell the truth and shame the devil.
Some passed some and didn't pass the others.
Well,
my husband, he did pass the first 2. You know, when my car broke down, he did bring an alley mechanic and come and fix it, and you know, he came and got me. And he was very supportive of my business. We worked together, and he understood that I was very driven, and this is what I do. So he was supportive of that. He had issues because of the religious differences and all of that, he had issues when I brought him to Barbara's place.
Mhm.
And that was a thing that we were not able to reverse because of the way he thought.
Or
You know,
reconcile.
Or resolve.
yeah, we weren't able to reconcile it because of how he saw things. And I understand that when people have a way of thinking, that is the way they think. Uh,
But
what
he did come to dinner once. I do remember us having
he
you all
came
over.
to dinner. He came to dinner, and he was like, "Well, how do these people know that they're not perverts around here? And these people, they dress like hippies." And so he was into what you look like, and people tend to do that, prejudge based on appearances. So he wasn't able to get past that. And I thought, okay, well, I see he's got a bit of prejudice about people's appearance, but over time he'll get to know them as people. And he did, but he was still, very apprehensive about the atmosphere. So that was an issue that came up when, I began to have Zakia come over, because I wanted her to grow up with her cousins, because we didn't
Because we didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't really.
We didn't grow up with our same age cousins. So I want her to have that experience, especially since she was kind of an only child because all of her siblings were grown. And he and I, we differed about that. But the whole family thing, it was I kept emphasizing to him, it's very important to me that we emphasize family because we want our daughter to see everybody is family. So we've got the in-laws, his children from his previous marriage, and then my family, and all the extended family from their spouses. I really wanted to have a sense of family, but sometimes when we would have family gatherings, he wouldn't come, or people came over, he would go into his room, and I'm like, okay, why are you doing that? And I guess he was trying to not be confrontational about, because if he expressed certain ideas that might be disagreeable, he might think, okay, well, maybe people will be upset. So I just, stay to myself. But I think that at some point, when you realize that's how a person is, you just let it go and say, okay, some family gatherings he participated in, those he didn't. I just had to let it go.
You know what? And that's the thing is that our family is loud.
Yeah.
We're loud people. We talk over each other. Sometimes we do it on this show. And
Accidentally.
we have conversations that pick up from years ago and everybody knows what you're talking about.
Yes.
And so we can be overwhelming. Now,
Yeah.
Barbara and I both have white spouses.
Mm-hmm.
So they also are coming from a different culture.
Yeah.
Now, my in-laws are wonderful people. They are the best, but they're not Black and they're not like us. And not only that, my husband, who is a very wonderful man, is also more of an introvert who managed to marry a mouth of America. So it's, and of course you guys know him. We've been married 25 years. We've been together 27. So Sean. And he's a wonderful, wonderful husband and a great father and a great partner. But sometimes he just does not want to be around our family. We're overwhelming, we're disorganized. He wants things to happen at a certain time, as if he didn't marry a person whose whole culture is CP time. And so sometimes it's easier for me to just say, okay, you just keep your butt at home. It's and it's fine, he has come with me. He's come to my family reunions when I was pregnant with Sarah. He's come to our family reunion after Sarah. He's come to my high school reunions. And he loves Chicago. So when I go home, most times he has come with me. But sometimes it's just he can't take it. And I have to give him that. That's fine. Either you don't have the time off or you don't want to take the time off or somebody's got to stay with the dog or whatever. You know what? It's fine because I
Yeah.
have my other traveling buddy, and sometimes it's just different when Sarah and I do a girls' trip because I'm not rushing her. I'm not telling her, well, put your makeup on in the car, we got to go. We can sit and we can talk for hours and hours, and nobody's sitting out in the car with a book waiting for us to leave so we can go
Yeah.
back to the hotel.
Yes.
So it's a different dynamic sometimes when your partner stays home, and it's not a problem. Now, he is coming to Florida with us because I said, "You coming." This is
Or
Ohio.
else.
Get out of this one.
You know, if you want to bring a book, bring a book. I don't care. But and that's the thing is that sometimes, and don't make it like you never see them because I come to most of the family things on his side, but there were a lot of years that I didn't because I was working
Yeah.
and because I had weird hours. I worked nights and weekends. And so there were times when he would go to something or he'd take Sarah to something, and I was fine. He would always say, "Oh, everybody ask about you." Yeah, because I'm loud. Um, but it's fine for you all to uncouple sometimes and do things separately because it's not worth the fight if you have to force that person to come all the time and they're sitting in the corner with their mouth poked out because they don't want to be there, which gets you in a bad mood. Let them stay home sometimes. It's fine.
Yeah, it's better that they not be there than that be there and bring all the vibes of resentment with them, 'cause everybody will feel it.
And
Now,
keep asking you, are you ready to go?
yeah, and I always ask,
Right.
"Oh,
Or
yeah,
looking at their watch, constantly.
yeah, I know, like we've been here too long, and you want to be able to
Yeah.
enjoy the time with your people. I mean, there's nothing more annoying than being with someone who doesn't want to be there and won't let you enjoy your time. So then
Yes.
nobody had a good time. So you know why? Just okay, just stay home, and then I can have fun, and I can come back when I get ready.
Yes.
No problem. So I think that's what couples have to learn how to do is just accept the other person not wanting to be there. Now I always, in terms of in-laws, Sultan's family, I was at everything. I'm at stuff now. I mean, my brother-in-law Kevin calls, if somebody died, I go to the funerals. I'm still going to their funerals on the other side. I'm always participating because I believe in family.
Right.
But that's me. I think that's the thing I look for in somebody, participating in your family things. Yeah, I'm going to be there for the weddings, the birthdays, the funerals. That's part of what I think you do as a spouse, as a couple. You do those things.
Graduations.
Graduations,
Big celebrations in our
yes,
family.
yeah. So I believe in being that person who's there to be supportive, to show unity, all that stuff. But not everybody feels that way, and so
And these are things you need to work out.
but there are things you need to talk. Like if you're in the process of considering if somebody's going to be a good spouse for you, if that's important. Like I said, I had those 3 tests, and you need to pass them if you're gonna be seriously in my life.
Well, I think it is very important for spouses to concentrate on doing things together, especially when your kids are young.
Yes.
It's when you are older and your kids are
Yeah.
grown and you don't feel like, okay, you have one spouse, they don't want to keep coming to everything. To me, that's fine. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
I think that part of building your family dynamics is participating in things with your family. Like Cheryl, I have really wonderful in-laws, and that would not have happened if we had not been involved in taking that 3-hour drive from Chicago to Moline to do things. We would have family picnics. We would arrange Thanksgiving together. We would arrange Christmas. They would always try to, because my husband has 5 other brothers and sisters, we would try to work out when the brother who lived the furthest away, who was in Michigan, when he was coming, we would kind of plan everything around him and his kids' visit because he came from the furthest away and he did not come real often. And I think it is important to have enough independent feelings of security about yourself to not feel threatened when your spouse doesn't want to come, has other plans, wants to do something else. And this is something that you have worked out over time. You know, when you're
Yeah.
planning your vacation, oh, where do you want to go this year? Do you want to go to Chicago? Do you want to go to California? You know, those kind of things. And sometimes if your spouse doesn't have that weekend off that you want to get away, that's fine if he stays home and you go, as long as you have had that understanding that no one is going to feel bad about not going or going. I think so much of it just comes with maturity.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think also you have to be comfortable with yourself. Like you say, sometimes you just need to go by yourself and feel okay about that. Now, some people have a real problem going to a restaurant or a movie alone. It never bothered me being alone. I like being alone. I don't have a problem with going into a restaurant and enjoying the food, and it's just me. I don't feel like, oh, someone's missing. No, hey, I might want to go eat this food. I'll, bring a book or bring whatever, word, whatever, and enjoy the place and maybe meet somebody. Who knows?
But saying that, it is hard to do that. And I used to be so shy that, drive-throughs were made for me. I couldn't even walk into a McDonald's, because you feel very self-conscious.
Yeah, I never did when it came to eating. Now, a movie, yeah. I can't really go to a movie because I like to talk to somebody when I'm watching. And
see, that's the whole thing about you Black people can't shut up in the movie.
I know, yeah, I got to talk to the movie.
but that's the thing is that I learned, because especially when I moved to Boston, I worked nights and weekends, and so my days off were in the middle of the week, and I could go to a movie, get the matinee price. Yeah. And I would sit there. I mean, it was like you go in right before you get all your stuff, and then you go in right before the preview starts, so you're not sitting in the dark or you're sitting in the light by yourself just eating the popcorn up until the movie comes. But you know what? But after a while, you get used to it and you get into the movie, and it's fine. Mm-hmm. And that was the same thing. Now, Sarah still teases me because she thinks I'm like an OG or something, because I could go to a club by myself. But the reason why I started going was I liked going to dance. I liked going out and going to dance. And if you couldn't find a girlfriend to go with you, what, you were just supposed to stay home? So I would get dressed up. I would park close enough in a, safe parking space in a parking lot and walk across the street and, grab myself my little mixed drink of orange and cranberry juice and sit there and wait. And eventually somebody would ask me to dance, and then I'd be dancing. Then I'd take my little butt home at the end of the night, and I was fine. Yeah. But she says she still can't do that.
Because you feel like
she's still young too. I never went by myself to clubs when I was young.
I was youngish. I was in my 30s.
Well, so that's young.
Yeah, it's young now. Yeah. Now it's young. But that was the thing but that was part of the frustration of having people flake out on you.
Yeah. That's true. And then they feel like
to go to, and this is the thing for people who don't, they want to go to a play, but you can't get anybody who wants to go or get the good seats. They want to sit up in the cheap seats, and maybe you can afford a good ticket. If you buy one, a lot of times you will get a really good seat because they have those odd seats. Just have one, and you can get a good seat if you're only buying one. And that was the thing, is that I had a good job, and a lot of times, not that I had money, but it was just me. I paid low rent back in the day, not anymore.
Yeah.
And I paid very little in rent or a decent amount in rent. And I had enough expendable income so that I could go out and I could do things. And I learned how to do those things by myself.
Yeah.
So now I'm not upset if I have to
Go see
travel
it
by
by
myself.
yourself.
I like having my husband with me, but and I love having Sarah because when we have the girl days, it's just different.
That's
But
fun.
that's the
Yeah.
thing is that we need to stop feeling like, you're half.
Yeah, and if you don't
Yeah.
have a companion, you
You
can't
are a
go.
whole person.
Because sometimes that's how people they end up just not doing anything. If their partner, their spouse, their
Yeah.
other person doesn't want to go, then they just don't go. And so you miss out on a lot of things in life, thinking you got to have a companion in order to have a
To
good
enjoy
time.
things with. Yeah, like for instance, I went and saw the Van Gogh exhibit, the immersion exhibit by myself. Eric was not interested. He says, I don't like art. Well, the first thing he said was, oh, is this something that Lorelei is showing? And I said, no, it's not Lorelei.
No.
He goes, oh, well, then I'm not interested. If it's not his own daughter, he's not interested. So I went and I enjoyed the experience immensely. Stayed a very long time. Did not have to hurry through it because Eric's not interested in anything artistic.
Bored and ready
And then
to
I
leave.
got to go home and describe everything, see what you missed. And he was fine hearing me talk about it, but he did not feel like, oh, I wish I'd have gone.
Yeah.
Exactly. One year for my birthday, because I'm a big CSI fan, one year for my birthday, they had at the Museum of Science a whole big CSI exhibit. Well, Sean didn't
Oh,
care anything about CSI, so he
Mhm.
went and got me a ticket.
Oh, that was nice.
Yesterday, and I went through that museum and
Go, have fun.
solving the murders and looking at all this stuff, and I had a ball. It was just great. Well, if I had gone with him, which would have been nice, but I would have spent a lot of time trying to explain
Explaining stuff
things
that you already
to
know,
him.
but he didn't know
Yeah, but this was CSI was always my jam. So he did this for me. And sometimes, and like I said, we do a lot of family gatherings. I'm a big family person too. So I love his family. And
yeah.
so I would say, I go to all your family stuff.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
that's
so
how I was. I will always be the one that will go because that's what you do. This is our
this
family.
is
It's
what you
family,
do.
you know.
Your people become my people.
People are my people.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah. So, but I think that sometimes, even though he says, "Yeah, my people, your people," but I don't want to be around your people. So, so you just have to let it go and not
yes,
angry, and sometimes enjoy your own company if it's just yourself, and don't take it personally. And I think
yes.
that marriages last a lot longer if you don't sweat the small stuff.
Yes.
Or the stuff that, it's temporary.
It's
Go
Yeah.
have your good time, come back, and you know what? And that gives them time enough to miss you too.
there you go. Sometimes it's good to be missed. Well, we gotta go. But we do want to remind you all, if you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our channel and like and follow us on Facebook so you can get a notice every time we're live
Yeah.
live in the Midwest and 6 on the East Coast every Sunday evening. Tune in to Three Black Moms and feel free to write in your comments. What do you do if your spouse doesn't want to come to your family gatherings? Do you stay home with them or do you say bye? So until next time, I'm Naima.
I'm Cheryl.
I'm Barbara. We are three Black moms, very independent. Bye. Hi, I'm Barbara.
I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Naima. We're three Black moms.